Howdy, this is Michael Good from reapertrades.com with another daily trade recap on September 9th, 2009. What you see before you is OPXA, OPXA Therapeutics. Let me bring up the multi-day candlestick chart. So yesterday, it gapped up from about 153 to 258 or so, and then it ran to a high of 693. Let me show you the 2-day chart so you get a better feel for that. So it reached a high of about 650 and then fell off that. Now originally in my watch list I was more bullish on it today than bearish because it supposedly had great news. But an article came out, I think it was TheStreet.com, that pointed out that the news they reported on their multiple sclerosis drug was the result of a phase 2 trial that had already been completed a while ago, and they'd already reported other subsets of data from this trial that were not very good. So it was not nearly as positive news as I thought at first. So that led me to be more bearish going into this morning. Now notice here it jumped around a bunch in the early morning. It gapped down 10% from the close of 565 and it opened below 5 or right at 5. And I didn't want to trade it there because it was already 10% red. The risk reward wasn't as good to me, and I know things can move a bunch really quickly in the morning. So it spiked and then it came down, and it actually had a morning low of 440, but the only place where there was significant volume was 450, so that was more significant to me in terms of support. So I watched it throughout the day, and then as it broke below that support of 450, right here I shorted with an average of 443 on 2,000 shares. I added on this next spike up to 446 on, that was 6,000 shares total. Then it gradually made lower lows and lower highs, and those great fading action throughout the day. I covered some at 418, anticipating that it wouldn't fall much more right here, and then it did fall a bunch more. I covered some at 410, and then the rest I held until it broke below $4, and I covered it then just because I couldn't resist it. I wanted to hold some overnight. I think it's going to gap down some and move down some more in the morning tomorrow, but I like taking profits, and my profits were $2,500 or so. You can see this in Sogo Elite here where I traded it. Realized profit was about $2,540 or so, and here's my actual trades. By the way, I really hate how Sogo Elite does not ever aggregate your trades. You can't look at the aggregate prices here, which is very frustrating. But one other thing to point out, when I first shorted at around 443 right here, I had a rather loose stop, but not super loose. I had my mental stop at about 473 or so, because it hadn't gone above 470 or 471 since very early in the morning, around 10:30 or so. So I like that as a pretty important technical measure. So overall, great trade on that. I'm very happy with it. And let me get that out of the way. My other trades, Enco, I went long. This was crappy news. Let's bring up a chart of that. And I actually called it as a short at 90 cents or so, right about here or here, because it was up on very overhyped news, and it was up 400% or so. I went long on the one cross about 106 actually, and sold quickly right around here for 112 for a few bucks. AEN was a nice short on my part. Yesterday it ran up only in the last few minutes in sympathy to, probably in sympathy to OPXA right here. So I liked it. On the short, it gapped down less than 10%, 10 cents only. I shorted, covered for about 15% total profit margin there. So overall, great day. About $3,100 in profit.